The transfer window is always so exciting. And it's exciting because all you ever hear is about the wanting and the taking. I want this player. I want more quality. Go fetch spend money from this team. Go fetch spend money from that team. Look at the signings that this one is making. Hey, we're gonna go to Europe. We're gonna go to South America and go sign players. Hey, we're gonna do this. It's always about the what we want. Taking. But you know what made me smile a little bit this window, and maybe it's always happened, but it was a little bit more highlighted this window. Is the outgoings. It's the teams and coaches allegedly sitting down and going, I can't have a squad of 37 people. I can't have a squad of 30 when I am only going to play 40 games. How am I going to rotate those guys? How am I going to bring those guys in? How am I going to make it work? I can't have a squad of people that haven't worked out for whatever reason. They just haven't fit. Injuries, tactical fit, coaching changes. I can't. You know, in South African football, one of the biggest things is that, hey, players sit, guys. Players sit. And like players rot on benches. Really bright guy. He was coming up nicely. Maybe made the wrong move. Maybe made the money move. Maybe made the celebrity move, maybe made the big team move, when maybe he wasn't ready for that team or didn't fit the style. And then you watch the talent sit on that bench and just rot away. Because not every player will be able to play for every team. Not every player will be able to play for the biggest teams as a secondary one, the biggest teams. Not every player. But there's so many players that could be dynamite elsewhere. There's so many players that could be great elsewhere. But they sit on the benches and they die. They sit on the benches and they rot. And by the time that player has to come in and play for the team, he's done. Inkomo, yes, this is that. Mangene groundini. There's no match fitness. There's no tactical fit. They've changed 3 coaches since you've been here. There's no tactical fit. The team has gone out and signed players that are quote unquote better than you, that the coaches trust. There's youngsters coming up through the pipeline that are meant to be looking for spaces. And now a lot of players find themselves in limbo. And a lot of them stay in limbo for too long. So this is why I'm happy this transfer window to see Abo Christian Saile leaving. To see Abo Mtanzani. When last did you see Mtanzani play a full game for Kaizer Chiefs? So it's good to see him go out on loan. When you're seeing Abo Nku, Abo Mbule, Abo Tladisa, when you're seeing Abo Mtetwa getting released by Pirates, for example, when you're seeing all of these moves being made, that first and foremost allow clubs to be a lot more streamlined, you know, where you can focus. I think it's Cardoso who allegedly said that he needs a 22-man squad. He doesn't need a big squad. So it makes the coach's job easier because you can focus on these guys. But more importantly, it allows some of these players to go out and flourish elsewhere. It gives them a chance to revive their careers. And some of them aren't that old. So I am so happy to see those movements. And hopefully those players can find great environments where they're going. Christian Saile scored last night for Supersport. Just arrived at Supersport. Possibly that day or the day before. Scores. What does that do for Usaile, who's called names at Kaizer Chiefs every day and all of that stuff? Maybe he was never a Chiefs player in terms of the fan pressure, the tactical pressure, the 10-year trophy drought, the pressures of all of those things. Maybe he wasn't. Maybe he just wasn't built for it. Maybe he's built for a super sport. Who knows? You look at Abo Lisibangu. I spoke the other day about fringe players at clubs and how sometimes the depth that clubs think they have is not necessarily real depth, where you have 13, 14 players that are playing week in, week out. And that full depth of looking at player 15, 16, all the way up to 37 and thinking that they are good enough to come in here. They're probably not good enough for that team, but they could be great somewhere else. And I think it's also a conversation we need to have about the players and their representatives and managers.
Sorry to interrupt the video that I'm sure you're enjoying, but I just wanted to say thank you for all of the support that you guys have shown me and my Overthinking Football platform. I'm a one-man band that's doing all of this, and I really do enjoy the comments about how, you know, Supersport needs to come fetch me and SABC and all of that stuff. And I think it speaks to the quality of the content, but also the amount of effort that I put in. So I just wanted to say thank you. But the truth is that Abo Supersport and all of those guys, yes, we're competing with them, but it's a completely different place. The sponsors are looking for former players, and to be honest with you, running some of these things is getting so difficult, and things have changed at home. So financially, it's a whole different world. So I wanted to try something new and come to the overthinkers, the people who watch the content, and say it would be incredible if you guys could contribute monthly towards the platform, towards keeping my lights on, but also making sure that all of the crazy things that I want to do, that I want to take Supersport on with, I can actually do. And just for 20 Rand every month, I think that would be an incredible contribution if you can make it. It may sound like a little, but if we can get a lot of people behind it, then we'll be able to carry on doing what I do. I'll be able to carry on giving you the content and also expanding it, because we don't have shows like this, and us content creators need help from our audiences. So I just came here to ask you if you can. Here is the account number that you guys can use in order to contribute. And I think, yeah, I'd be very grateful if you would. But anyway, let's get back to the video. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Sometimes you need to do what's good for your player. Sometimes you need to do what's good for yourself as a player. And yes, the allure of going to go play for Kaizer Chiefs, or the allure of going to go play for Sundowns, or the allure of going to go play for Orlando Pirates right now when they call you. I'm not going to say that it's an easy choice to say no. But if your client is going to be at Pirates and be at Sundowns for 2 years and nothing happens, and they're not getting game time, and now they need to leave, and when they leave, the stock is not as high, the money is not as high, the opportunity is not as high, the talent is no longer there in full, and now they have to go and default back to playing in the league for quote-unquote lesser teams. What does that do for a player's career? To be fair though, this is the PSL. You can play until you are 37. Ukabuza just signed with Amatax at 37, 38 I think he is. Just signed for Amatax. So maybe there'll always be opportunity, I don't know, but in order to maximize that opportunity, sometimes, man, hey, you need to go talk to the club and say, hey man, is this guy in your plans? No. Okay, I'm moving him out. I loved what Umtetwa did. Umtetwa, man of the match last night for Amazulu. Probably never would have played at Pirates, owing to the fact that, you know, there's Nda, there's Oki, there's BC, there's Sesane now. You know, there's all of these players that are in front of you and a finite number of games. I think we need to be realistic at times. And again, it's tough. And I would never ask a player just to be realistic in J or just or to be objective. It's very tough to be objective when you're inside the situation. When it's looking at you in the face, when that contract is here and they've put it on the table, it's very hard to say no to those things. But for your own future, what does that look like? My wish for transfer windows going forward is more of these type of moves to happen. Because even though I'm saying that some of these players don't fit at these teams, you cannot deny that if you go to a Sundowns and you go to a Pirates, for example, you're probably going to develop and get better. If you look at what Stellenbosch is doing, Stellenbosch is quietly going around and snatching up these players. Oh, you're a Sundowns reject who can maybe fit our team. Let's fetch you because you've been at Sundowns for 2 years now. Let's fetch you and put you into the team. We're going to bypass that experience chain and that quality chain or whatever. We're going to bypass it by just picking off those players. No, Zwagal. I wish it happens more so that we can get more parity within the league, so that we can get more really good players all over the league. Instead of, every time somebody shines, they go to Sundowns, they go to Pirates, they go to Chiefs. Then you wonder, what happened? Tanzania is 30 now. He's been at Chiefs 3 years. So that means that in his prime, from age 27, most players reach their peak age 27. He was sitting on the bench at Kaizer Chiefs. For whatever reason, I'm not saying that he's a bad player, but for whatever reason, he was sitting on the bench. When maybe we could have squeezed something out of Tanzania as a talent somewhere else. Maybe we could have squeezed something out of the myriad of players all over the place. But my only wish, I diverted there, my only wish is for this to happen for the young, for the youngsters, for the youth. For this to happen for the 19, 20, 21, 22-year-old that is sitting on that bench at some of these clubs that is not getting a chance to move on and try something new. Think about Abo Sabelo Khatebe. Sat at Kaizer Chiefs. Sat. Only now is he getting his chance. Will he ever be able to live up to the potential that he had when he was there? I don't know. You think about some of the youngsters now that Chiefs has. I'll use Chiefs as an example. Abo Zwane, Abo Happy Mashiane, youngsters. Okay, let's do current youngsters. Abo Zwane, Abo Mfundo, Abo Duba, and those guys. Could they have matured a little bit more faster in the case, let's say, of Duba, Shabalala, if they had gone on loan instead of going back to DDC, in Shabalala's case, gone on loan and went to go play somewhere? I'm sure there's a team that is willing to take on a Chiefs player or even a visible player. Imagine Shabalala joining one of the other teams now or maybe a year ago, where we were just being honest with him and saying, you know what, boy, you might not be up to the level, but we also can't incubate you. Because the truth of the matter also is that a lot of these teams have become pressure teams. People are getting fired every year. It's not a Stellenbosch where Coach Barker has been there for a very long time. It's not a Mamelodi Sundowns pre-Cardoso where the coaches had been there for 12 years. It's not an Orlando Pirates where the coach has been there 3 years. A lot of the clubs are hiring and firing willy-nilly, which takes out the opportunity to develop the youth. But, no disrespect, a youngster at a Sundowns, a youngster at a Pirates, you could argue a youngster at a Chiefs, could go and play somewhere else. And think about how great of a business deal that would be.